Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our club, My Life, My Business. Wish I was here. And our theme has literally been, as we started this year, started off talking about our resolutions, and we spoke specifically about many resolutions. Last week, Shanaz shared with us on how to say no, and she shared that saying no is a gift that we give ourselves. And why are all these things important? Well, it's when we start the new year, we want to achieve the goals that we set for ourselves. There's something that we want to change for the better in this year, and our conversation is literally centered around these things that we would like for you to change for the better. And today, I want to take just in our title and talk about my life is my business. And I am here and completely present and engaged. And so we'll take an excerpt out of a book by Nidra Glover Tawwab. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But her book is entitled Set Boundaries, Find Peace. It's sort of a logical extension to what we have been talking about up until now. And so it begs the question is, how do you know that you need boundaries? And if you answer yes to any of these questions, then you do. First question is, do you frequently feel stressed, overwhelmed by, or burnt out by the amount of work that you have to do? Question number 2, do you find that you struggle to say no to requests from friends and family and co-workers? Do you ever find yourself avoiding certain people that you just feel uncomfortable being around? So if you answered yes, remember you might have an issue with boundaries. And so we'll talk about a particular type of boundary that is dealt with by the author in a book. And she says that if your boundaries are too porous, you will be vulnerable to absorbing other people's needs and emotions as your own. And so, therefore, what are porous boundaries? These are weak, overly flexible, or they are just poorly expressed. And so what is the characteristics of a porous boundary? First and foremost, is there's just a lack of emotional separation between you and the people around you. There's a form of dependency on the people around you. Or there's a people-pleasing attitude. And so she touches a little bit on how to counteract porous boundaries, reflecting on, number 1, needing to work on reclaiming your autonomy. Establishing some physical and emotional distance, even to the extent of withdrawing some of your support, and then focus on good self-care practices. Now, it's an excerpt, so we're not going to give you a book report. I just thought that this is sort of leads us to the introduction of just what we want to discuss today. And why are we talking about boundaries? Well, you know what? If you want to focus on achieving your goals, it does mean that you need to set healthy boundaries. Otherwise, other people's issues, requests, needs, wants take away the time, the energy, and the focus that you need to have, and it's diluted as you help others around you achieve their goals. And so, healthy boundaries, what exactly is this? And the author describes it as such, is that it is characterized by having a concern for your own needs combined with a concern for the needs of the other. And why I like this particular definition, it means for those who struggle with just this aspect of saying no, the aspect of asserting your boundary is it feels like it's too selfish. No, a healthy boundary is the context of that which we're going to be talking about. And once again, what is a healthy boundary? It is characterized by having a concern for your own needs in combination with a concern for the needs of the other. So in other words, a way to think about it, a healthy boundary establishes win-win engagements with people, right? You need to win, which means you don't compromise your goals in order to help others achieve their goals. You accomplish your goals while you can support others to accomplish theirs. And it's a question of discipline. You've got to check in with yourself. You've got to ensure that your goals are being met while you're helping others achieve their goals. It's not a one-way relationship. You're not making a sacrifice merely so that others can achieve their goals. You need to ensure you have the obligation, the responsibility to ensure your goals are being met. So the two components of a win-win way of thinking is you need to bring focus to what it is you want to achieve. You've set or you've made those many resolutions for the year. All right? The small things, right? Making small moves for big changes. And so in order for you to celebrate the fruit of the resolutions that you've made, the goals that you've set, is to have focus. And you know what focus is? It's just, and you know you are focused when you take responsibility for achieving your goal. It's about you. It's not waiting for things to derail you, and if they do, you can assign blame. No, you are resolute. You clearly can taste and feel the outcome that you want to achieve. And therefore, it is not about external barriers. It's not even about internal barriers that others might impose or you might impose on yourself. You are absolutely determined to achieve your goal. And that determination even goes as far as to say that you will not let anything and anyone stand in your way to achieve that goal, not even yourself. And that's why having a healthy boundary in place is so important. It's with that in mind. There's an outcome. There's something you're working towards. You're promising yourself that at the end of the year or the beginning of next year, there's not even a twinge of regret, because everything that you've set out to achieve, you have accomplished. And remember, we started out the theme this year of little things. We're talking about breaking it down and achieving the little things. And so you can look forward to next year to achieving more little things towards those big, hairy, audacious goals that we've discovered in one of our broadcasts before. So coupled with a level 3 focus within a win-win way of thinking is to have level 4 compassion on others. All right? And we're talking about compassion as caring enough to see the other person achieve their goals, but not at your expense. And so, want to achieve your goals? Establish, maintain healthy boundaries. And you might be saying, this is all very theoretical. You all know this stuff. That's why we try and break it down as much as we possibly can. And so what are the practical ways for us to achieve this? Well, one is it starts off by being assertive. And yes, we mean assertive, asserting yourself. And what does that sound like when you are being assertive? So in your language and the way you're communicating is that you're clear about what it is you want. So your words literally will sound like this. In terms of what you express is what's important is I want whatever that might be. I need whatever that may be, and I expect this, that, and the other thing. Is that you need to know that, but it's not just on internalized, is that you need to be able to express that. Others need to hear what it is you want, need, or expect. And while you are being assertive, and you might think, oh, you don't want to offend this other person, it is avoid apologizing or over-explaining when you set boundaries, because the danger is when you do so, you kind of give the impression that your boundaries may be negotiable and others are opportunists and they're going to push back on your boundaries. All right? They're going to see, well, if they're not used to you setting boundaries, they're certainly going to push back on you. But remember, be focused, be resolute, take responsibility for outcomes. And if you remember the why you want to set healthy boundaries, you will maintain these boundaries. And then, it's one thing to communicate your boundary, but together with this is that you need to back it up with what you say, with consistent action. If you don't, it won't be taken seriously. You need to model the behavior you expect from others. That is, if you expect them to first and foremost acknowledge, understand, and support your boundary, you got to do the same to others. So therefore you respect other people's boundaries. And so you might ask, okay, but what happens if somebody just consistently violates your boundaries over and over and over again? Then, well, you've got to enforce your boundary, but sometimes issuing or expressing a consequence. For example, how often you give your time to others is your choice. You are not obligated to give your time to people who don't respect you or who drain your energy. So if somebody is consistently over talking, taking up your time, say you are in as a professional persona, you might set up, you might schedule time, and that is how you deliver your services, through having defined start times, defined end times. And if you particularly have a client who wants to maximize value add from your sessions, is if you start on time, you want to end on time, but they don't want to give you the leeway to say goodbye. They want to hold on to you. Sometimes on Zoom is probably a lot easier, or Teams or some other platform, is that when you say goodbye, you can actually click the button and you can end the meeting off much better than when you are present physically, because you might get up, pack your things, and you find that your client accompanies you as you walk to your vehicle or your mode of transport while talking ahead of. And so what do you do to establish this? And quite practically is basically is watch your time, start early, when I say start early summarizing the end of the engagement. And when the time is up, pack up and firmly leave, shake hands, and depart. If that does not work, you got to confront the issue. You got to kind of have a conversation around why it is important for you to leave on time and what the consequences will be. If it's still not understood, that extra time that has been taken becomes billable. It's probably the easiest thing that you can do from that perspective, is building for the extra time, so they can see that is a practical example of consequence management. So you might say to me, oh, well, it's probably easier, maybe it might be easier or not so easy, dependent on who you are in a professional context, in a business context. However, what do you do with family and friends? Same thing. If you're trying to get somebody off the phone and they just keep on talking, oops, your finger slips when you say goodbye, and you shut the phone down, you end the call. So the other thing is you need to have a healthy boundary with yourself, all right? So number one, remember Shana shared with us that no is a gift that you need to give yourself. So say no to things that don't serve your purposes nor your goals. Say yes by treating yourself with respect and adopting healthy self-care practices. And when we say self-care, what do we mean by this? Be in tune with your own needs, right? Know what it is that you want. We spoke about that assertiveness that says, I want, I need, I expect. So be in tune with it and respect yourself enough to fulfill them. And so as part of this is before we teach others to respect our boundaries, we must also learn to honor them ourselves. So I can just think about this. I come across this often in what I do, and as something as simplistic as diary management. You know, when we have appointments and we need to meet customers, and we have sessions and workshops, and or that business meeting or that sales meeting or whatever it might be, which is externally driven, urgent and important, it goes in a diary, and more often than not, that is honored. The problem is a little bit more challenging when the intention is to slot something into your diary that is personal and it's non-urgent, but it is absolutely important because you need to schedule your time to work on your goals. So you've chunked down everything. We spoke about that in the first recording this year, and but it's in your diary. And what tends to happen is that when the alarm comes up and you're notified that that time is 5 minutes away, or at the time the alarm comes on, you kind of think, oh, okay, I still got to do this for somebody else. I still got to, and somebody else has just called within the time that I've set myself. That is being disrespectful to your own boundary, and you're not honoring your own boundary, which means when that alarm comes on and it's something that you set for yourself to do that is in line with what it is you need to achieve for your goal, is that you need to stop what you're doing. You need to say to somebody, will you please excuse me? I've got something else that I need to do. I have another appointment. Now you see, that appointment is with yourself. But if you don't treat that as important, you cannot expect anybody else to respect it and treat it as important as well. And so the important thing is to always remember that if you want, and I mean, I come back to this point. If you want to achieve your goals this year, just taking the next step from saying no to anything that stands in your way is by respecting the boundaries that you establish for yourself. Recognize porous ones. Recognize ones that you've set, but it's so flexible and you just allow everybody just to breach. But make sure that the healthy boundaries that you set, that ensures that you meet your goals while you can support others to meet theirs, are the ones that you absolutely maintain. Keep focused, and I want to encourage you that if you just implement some of these things that we share with you, then most definitely, when you claim and you absolutely take ownership of the things that you want to achieve this year, you can honestly say, it is my life and therefore it is my business. All right? Nobody else's but yours. And therefore, be present, be completely engaged, because our theme runs that this is what leads to a fulfilled life, a life of enjoyment. And so we've come to the end of our broadcast today, and I just want to say to those that are listening, thank you for listening. It's been wonderful to have you here. I'm sure Shonaz will join us next week. And I just want to say, do not let those mini resolutions, those goals that you've set for yourself, disappear. Hold on to them. Make sure that little by little, each week, each month, you do what it takes with focus, but with compassion for others' needs and wants, in order for you to achieve what is most important to you. And so, thank you everyone. Until next week. Bye for now.